because this is more of a reaction. It's not a segment. So we're just going to hop straight into it. But first, I wanted to pull this up. Okay, cool. All right, so let's get into Invincible, right? Let me pull this up. Yeah, let's get into Invincible right now. Now, hold on, let me pull up the list first. I got to pull up the list because IMDb, because I got to talk about some specific characters without getting into spoilers, you know. There's a such thing as a spoiler-free review. You feel me? Invincible. There we go. All right, I wanted to like show writers and stuff. You know, I love to give credit where credit's due. I think it's going to pop it up, hopefully. Amazon, okay, genre creator, Robert Kirkman. Yep, knew that. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's what I needed. All right, so with that being said, let's get into the basically the review right now. Okay, so I essentially told y'all that if you supported enough as far as the Invincible review up to episode 7 and 8, I will give y'all another one before episode 8, because when episode 8 airs, I'm giving an entire spoiler review of Invincible season 3. But of course, this is going to be essentially what I did before episode 7, so it's going to be spoiler free. But now I've seen episode 7, so we're going to get into it. And let me tell y'all, as far as my sentiments, as far as the last review of before episode 7, it still stands. I think Invincible needs to be put in prison. I don't care that the entire show is around him. Let me tell you something. And I pulled this up last time, I got to do it again because I totally forgot the name once more. Let me see. All right. So I brought up actual Civil War. Now I'm talking about fictional Civil War. There we go. Sokovia Accords. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, as far as the Sokovia Accords, I think it is immensely underappreciated when you see stuff like this going on, because the things that Invincible is doing, I would argue that he is the villain in this whole show. Like, it's almost like, you know, spoiler free, right? So I'm gonna compare it to Iron Man. The way that Iron Man basically created Ultron is like it's like tenfold when it comes to Invincible, right? A lot of the things that's even happening is because of him. It's not like, oh, I just want to be bad for the sake of killing people. You know what I'm saying? It's literally the main purpose is because of Invincible. And some would say that is because of his actions in other multiverses. But without getting too deep into that, basically his actions in the main universe leads you to believe that I could understand why everybody would think Invincible is evil in other multiverses, right? So when you come into the multiverse, or you come into the universe that Invincible is a good force in the superhero community, and he's doing all of these actions. I'm being very vague for it, like on purpose. He's doing all of these actions and they are not making any sense. Like, as far as logic and common sense, Invincible has none of it. And don't even get me started with his significant other. You know, he probably should have just stayed with Amber. You know, back in season 1 and 2, when everybody was saying, oh, Amber this, Amber that, can't believe she like getting on him every single time. I think he needed that. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, at this point in time, his new significant other, as far as Adam Eve, because that's not a huge spoiler, they talked about that in season 3. Basically, that is a huge detriment to his overall character arc, because they keep repeating the same conversation with them time and time and time again. There's no nuance. It's almost like, you know, I'm a huge superhero fan, so, you know, it's gonna be a lot of superhero callbacks. I remember when Spider-Man ran into this problem in one of the TV shows. I think it was the Disney show. It was one of the shows. It was like it was when Spider-Man was crossing over with the Avengers on Disney, and he kept reiterating how everything was his fault. Every time he would come on screen, I don't know who was writing for Spider-Man when he was crossing over with the Avengers on Disney Channel, but that man will say every single thing was his fault. Something could happen on the other side of the planet. Man, that's just my fault, man. If I was only there, if I was just only stronger, man. If I was like, it gets to a point where, you know, 1, 2, 3 times, it's like, you know, that's cool. 4 or 5, we're like, okay, you know, you're the main character. We'll let you get it off. But the 70th time, my brother, get over it. We understand that this is your fault. And the actions that follow that recognition that it's your fault makes no sense. If you know it's your fault, you see something happening, and then the action that you take make it even more of your fault, you, my brother, are a villain. Maybe you just like letting people suffer because you make ignorant decisions as far as the greater good of humanity. And that's what I'm gonna leave it at, because I'm being very vague. So as far as episode 7, what it told me is that the entire arc of Mark Grayson in season 3 is at its lowest it's ever been. Season 1 was phenomenal. Season 2 wasn't as good as season 1, but it was still phenomenal. Season 3, because if you read the comics, they have a lot that they haven't even gotten to, like just straight peak. And episode 8 is gonna be a portion of that peak that I'm talking about. But his arc in this season just seems like filler. He keeps reiterating there's no character development. He says everything is his fault, and he continuously follows up that recognition that it's his fault by actions that make it even more his fault. It's almost like, are we just on a wheel right now until season 4? Like, so much stuff happens later on in the comics that it makes this make sense as far as the drastic outcome of this season. That's what, because I'm not going to get into detail. But as far as things that could have been avoided, there's a lot of moments where Cecil is undoubtedly the MVP of the show. Now, in the comic books, they had him more of a anti-hero. He wasn't as relatable in the TV show. In the TV show, this man seems like he's the main hero and Mark's basically the anti-hero. It's almost like pulling teeth trying to get Invincible to do the right decisions as far as saving multiple people. Literally, there's a part, I'm not going to tell you when it happens, there's a part when people just dying left and right, dying, right? And this man's a superhero, mind you, powers, everything. With great power comes great responsibility. Guess what? This man only cared about a certain someone when all of this was going down. This man had no responsibility, no accountability whatsoever, while the whole world is just, let me tell y'all something. The events that have happened in season 3 makes me believe that they came in with the intention of making Invincible the main villain. If Invincible wasn't as stubborn and ignorant to the overall threat to the world and listened to Cecil, maybe some of this stuff wouldn't have happened, right? I think season 1 and 2 made him look more of a hero, because Cecil was definitely doing things behind the scenes, like in season 1 and 2 when he was just spying on the house without telling them and things of that nature. I think that's weird, right? It made him look more of a villain. But in season 3, in its entirety, Cecil is making all the correct decisions. And literally, I'm spoiling episode 1. So if you haven't watched episode 1, oh well. I mean, it came out like, what, months ago? Let me see. When episode 1 come out? Episode 1 came out February 6, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed it, I'm sorry. Essentially, in episode 1, everybody is just captured. All the heroes on the planet. It's like some huge conglomerate army that the main villain comes up with, right? And in that army of monsters, he's able to capture all of the heroes on the planet due to his like master evil plan, right? And then we get to the point where Cecil, out of options, right? He's out of options. No more heroes to call. He calls the villains to come help out. And guess what? They actually help out and they break the heroes free and they save the day. If that wouldn't have happened, they would have died. Literally, all the heroes would have died. Now, obviously, you know, as a writer, you can always put some type of plot armor to make the hero get out. But in that specific scenario, they would have died if Cecil didn't use anti-heroes and villains to save them. And Mark loses it. When I tell you, this man loses it and goes on a tantrum. And that whole time, I'm thinking to myself, didn't Cecil just save him? How come he's not grateful? This man, the whole time blaming Cecil when he was going to be dead. Ain't this man named Invincible? And the whole time, they're showing, oh, he improved in this stat. He improved in this metric. He improved in this metric. Comes up to the final boss and he gets captured, and now Cecil got to save him again. And this is in episode 1, mind you. Throughout this entire season, I just want to reiterate that Cecil is just proven right time and time again. And I kind of feel for Debbie because, you know, at some point, you just got to recognize, like, Omni-Man may have not been the best mating partner. Let's just put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he may have actually used you as a pet, and now you just really in the thick of things when the whole time you was being lied to in season 1 and 2. Well, season 1. So, but it gets a lot better. That's why I say, like, Invincible to me is still one of the greatest television shows in superhero history because of what's to come and what's happened. Season 1 and 2 sets it up to be peak. Season 3 is blatantly a drop off. I think it's a drop off, obviously from animation wise, because they want to drop this year after year. And to make up for that, the animation's got to take a dip, right? So they could put it out faster. But with that being said, I do believe that when it comes to Cecil and when it comes to Mark in the overall arc, if you've read the comic books, this is not even close to the high quality entertainment that you're about to receive in this television show. And it's already one of the best superhero shows of all time, in my opinion. Like, I would put this up there with like Spectacular Spider-Man. That's how great I think this show is. Like, as far as superhero TV shows having side characters that could literally carry their own show and still be entertaining, I think Invincible does a phenomenal job at setting up Oliver, setting up Omni-Man, Adam, Eve. I don't think it's Adam Eve. I think it's just, actually it is Adam Eve. It's just with a T. I forgot. My fault. So Eve. Oh, and another thing, when I get the spoilers, and people who've read the comic books know what I'm talking about. When I get the spoilers, there's a specific character that's literally one of the best creations that they've made in that little universe, right? And all I'm gonna say is there's a little space scene, there's another space scene, and that character's not seen at all. I'm like, hold up. This is, to get on my Stephen A tip, pause, this is blasphemy. Like the way they're treating this character, and people who read the comics know who I'm talking about, but I'm being vague on purpose. And people who reviewed this episode and the season, they're basically like, oh yeah, and there's some random guy with beam coming at his head. I'm like, no. That's one of the most peak characters in the show. Like, as far as a copyright issue, I don't know if it's a Spider-Man situation like it was in season 2, where they could use like a knockoff version and have him in for like 10 seconds, but they have the actual character, which like confuses me. I'm like, is it a copyright issue, or y'all trying to save him for the next season? Because this man, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm gonna sound like a nerd, if you read the comics, he could carry a show by himself. Another example on who could carry a show by himself, and they haven't even like had him speak anything. He's just in 1 second, out the other, and I'm like, that's just unfortunate, because I thought we was going to get some peak content with him, because he has such a great arc in the future. Just think of like Battle Beast, but like on the hero side. Like, that's how strong he is and interesting he is as far as what he means to the overall story. Like, he's a great hero, a great story, and he's super powerful. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a copyright issue. I don't know if they haven't found a voice actor yet. I don't know if they're just saving him for season 4. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if they don't use him after highlighting and teasing us like that, I'm just going to say that it may be one of the biggest fumbles in their run so far. Like, I think they fumbled a few things as far as Mark's arc in season 3, because it's non-existent, just rambling about everything being his fault, and then following up with actions that makes it even more his fault. I think that essentially when episode 8 happens, and then we get one of the highlights of the overall story, right? The episode 8 should be the best episode, should be one of the best episodes in season 1, 2, and 3, like by far. So if episode 8 doesn't do something as far as make it just banger after banger as far as scenes are considered, then we may have to say that season 3 was a little bit of drop off in quality when compared to season 1 and 2. But it's okay, because like I keep saying, if you read the comics, the story gets a lot better. But season 3 is undoubtedly going to be looked back as the filler season in this overarching story. So with that being said, obviously I didn't get into too much. I'm gonna have a whole entire spoiler review when episode 8 drops, and I'm gonna get deep. Pause. Was that pause? I don't know. I'm gonna get into a lot of the details that I left out, because I'm trying to be vague to not spoil anybody. And I'm doing this live, so for the people watching live, episode 7 just came out, so I don't feel like I spoiled anything for episode 7. So with that being said, also, if you do want to watch me live, just click my link tree in my bio. I'm live on Twitch, Twitter, both my YouTube platforms, and Kick. So you can click my link tree in my bio to access one of those platforms, or you can just type up Analytic Dreamz with a Z or any of those platforms, they'll pop up. And with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias, what do you think about Invincible? And see, I just realized this whole time I was supposed to be playing this video, and it's been paused this whole time. Well, I'm not changing it. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias, what do you think about my vague, spoiler-free review of season 3 up until episode 8? And whose side are you on, Invincibles or Cecil?